Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon or good evening, depending on where in the world you are. Today, I have Patti Cuthill with me, and she is the Chief Joy Officer at Next Level Internet. Thanks, Patti, for being here with me today. Patti and I have been on a road show, it feels like. We keep ending up on panels about culture, so I thought I better have her on LinkedIn Live. And Patti's in a pretty unique scenario because she has a CEO who really embraces culture and wants Patti to do everything she possibly can to ensure the workforce is thriving and feeling positive and feeling good, which, many HR folks out there maybe have a different experience with their CEO. So she's going to give us some tips and just kind of tell us some of the things she's doing. So again, Patti, thank you so much for being here. So tell us first, what does Next Level Internet do? So we have a little bit of background.
Sure. Thank you, Catherine, for having me. I just want to start really quick and to say I admire and have so much appreciation for what you and your team do at Civility Partners. It's such an important purpose for our workplace, and it's so needed. So thank you. So Next Level is a cloud-based, they call it a UCaaS provider. So we basically provide internet and voice over IP phones. So when you all were dispersed to your homes and you had to be on the phone and your computer, that's kind of what we do. We make sure that you have that service. And we just love on our clients. And, I've been in the high tech industry most of my career, and I just love it because it's on the cutting edge of what we're doing. And I just love the technology and how it can really impact people. So yeah, super excited to be here at Next Level.
And how long have you been there?
So it'll be 3 years coming up. Okay. And so it was kind of I've been here a short period of time, but we've done some heavy lifting in that short period. So I've been here for 3 years.
Yeah, it's not like we had a pandemic or anything. I don't know.
In the middle of everything, when you're trying to build a culture, right?
Yeah, maybe it's been hard or heavy lifting. So my first question for you is about your CEO, because I know from being on panels with you, he really wants all of this culture work done. And, your title is Chief Joy Officer, and he clearly, truly understands the importance of culture and having a workforce that feels good. Just tell me more about him. Why is he motivated to do all of this stuff? Where's he coming from? Other than, I imagine, just caring, but what's driving this for him?
Sure. Well, I first want to say that for those of you who haven't had a CEO partner like I have, it's definitely worth the wait, and it's definitely worth trying to find the right fit and partnership, because, man, my world is what I dream up in my head, I get to execute. And that's an amazing partnership that you don't always find. But I'll say that I actually have known Derek for a little while, knew him before I come to this company. And Next Level is kind of like what I call a mature startup. They were in business for about 18 years, and they kind of brought Derek in to grow the company, and they didn't really have HR put in place. And so he actually reached out to me and said we'd worked together before and actually worked in ministry together. And so he reached out to me and he said, hey, what are you doing? Would you like? And at the time I was at Comic-Con. And so I was having a real blast there, having some fun, doing some consulting. But I knew where his heart was, and I knew where his drive was. And I thought, what an awesome opportunity to actually have a CEO that understands people and puts people first like Derek does. He has this lens in the way he sees business, and it's through people. Every decision he makes, whether it's the partnership with a vendor or whatever the situation is, he thinks about people first. And he role models it. Not only does he talk it, he walks it. I think that when we first got together at the company and we wanted to start growing Next Level, it was really about, let's set a foundation for the future growth that we want. And that came first with setting values. And so he was a leader that understood we needed to refresh our mission vision, and we need to have core values. When I got here, we didn't have core values. And that's really the bedrock and the foundation of everything you do. If you don't have those aligned and set up, then it's a really hard journey to get to where you're going. So I was so blessed that he understood. And I got to be honest with you, sometimes, I've always had to be the advocate for people and what I need to do. And I'm sure people leaders out there, you understand what I'm saying, that you have to be the one that goes in and drives it. Mm-hmm. There are times when I go in and he surprises me and he thinks about something I haven't thought about. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm losing my touch. I should have. But he'll come up with those ideas. And I'm like, so it's really embedded in him. And I think it's just kind of the person he is. He leads with his heart first, and I lead with my heart first, and then our head. And, we just really try to create this environment where people can be loved, they can be cared for, they're held accountable, and we just all do great work together in a great community. And so he's really allowed me. There are times when I went to him and I'm like, I have this idea, and I'm like, he's probably going to say no. And he says yes. And I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to do that?
That's not how it went in my head. I thought you would say no. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's just, it's, as we all know, trust has to be really high in an organization and with your leaders and with each other. So I think we have just such a high trusting relationship that he really gives me the autonomy to take these creative ideas I've had in my head for years and not been able to implement because I have had roadblocks with either leadership or budget or whatever the situation is. And so I just feel so free and it's such a joy to come in every day and be able to, every day something new, and just to be able to do the things that I've had in my head and I know would work, and then to see it validated and it actually works. Yeah, that's just so amazing to me.
So tell us some of the, what's the kind of wackiest or craziest idea that you've had that you've been able to implement, and what was the result?
Well, I don't know if it's wacky or not, but when I worked at Comic-Con, we used to, every time a new movie came out, we would go to the movies. We'd close down and we'd go across the street to the theater and we'd watch the movie. And I thought, that's what I want to do with Next Level. And so I think he thought I was a little crazy to say, let's shut the whole company down for a team building and we're all going to go to the movies today. So that was probably,
that's cool.
I don't think he's ever had anyone ask him that before, but so that was kind of fun. And we do a lot of different team buildings. And so anyway, so that was kind of a fun one that I didn't know if he would how would that go, with him. So
that's awesome. Was that planned out, or you just that morning were like, let's shut down?
Oh, no, it was planned.
Okay.
We have to close down, we have to close at noon. And I have this group called the Culture Crew. One of the things I did when I first got here was recognize that in a small company, you don't have a very large team. And so you really need to rely on a lot of different people to help you build the culture. And so I built a cross-functional team. We have about 8 or 9 people on that team. And they're the ones that come up with the ideas. It's a grassroots effort. I sponsor it. I don't lead it. I really like our people to lead things. And so they come up with all kinds of ideas on the team building. One of our core values is the greater good. So we do community service. So we'll shut down and go to the food bank. During the pandemic, we had to get really creative, and we went to Veterans of North County, and we did food distribution there. But that's part of our culture and our community and what we believe in. And so, so that team actually really helps me come up with the creative ideas. It's, I think Derek says it best, my CEO. He basically, he talks about me and him being an architect of culture, but the people really are the culture, right? They're the culture keepers. They're the ones who demonstrate those values. They're the ones who uphold our values. And so we can put the blueprint out there and the roadmap out there, but really the people are the ones who make it happen. And I just love that analogy because I'm a builder of people and teams and companies, and being an architect of the way we kind of see how the culture should play out. I think it's fun and it's exciting to watch.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love too how you said a CEO partner. I've not heard that phrase before, and that's truly what it would need to be in a situation like this. So finding that CEO partner for all you HR professionals who might be looking for an opportunity like the one Patti is in. Talk to me about the ROI on all of this. Do you measure how this has influenced your business success at all? And if so, how are you measuring it?
Great question. I think sometimes as people leaders, we do have a hard time understanding how do we show our executive team that pouring into this type of a culture really pays off. I think now more than ever, I've been doing this for 25 years, and we're in this time now that it's an exciting time because there is this conscious capitalism going on now versus everything's about the profit. We want to be a successful business. We want to grow our business, but that's not the first thing that we look at in terms of how do we do it. We look at the people. People are the ones who are going to grow your business. If you take care of your people and you build this psychologically safe environment where they can make mistakes. We call them learning moments. Gary Ridge is another big mentor of mine that I've learned so much from. And the learning moments is so important that you can make a mistake and move on. And having that type of culture, creates innovation. I would say also that the way that I personally see how are we doing is we do have a couple surveys that we do annually. One is the best places to work, and one is the great places to work. I remember walking in the doors at Next Level, and there was about it's just a small little suite. We're in a bigger space now, but I remember walking in and meeting with Derek and getting really excited about it. And I thought, I really want to validate what we're doing. I really want to know that hear from the voice of the people that what we're trying to create and what we're trying to instill, those values, that they really feel them and they really, they really validate that that's the environment we're creating. And so those surveys are a really huge part of how we do that. I'll talk about Great Places to Work, which is my absolute favorite, because it really gives you tangible things to work on in your survey with your leaders and how you develop them, different levels of leadership. And so I would say that we're at 97% engagement. We have had Best Places to Work 2 years in a row. We've had Best Places to Work 3 years in a row. And to me, that's the voice of the people. It's an anonymous survey. They can say what they want to say. And when we get those surveys back, I think the really important part is we look at everything and say, what is going great? How do we maintain that? And then where are some areas that we can improve on? And what does that mean? Sometimes it can mean that it's just a lack of communication or education around what we were doing, and we have to drill down a little bit more and educate people. Sometimes it's actually something we have to change. And so we share those results with the whole company, and we're super transparent about everything. And we say, look, the culture crew actually takes this mission on, and we create initiatives that will uphold that type of culture. I've always said that the first go out, you can probably do pretty good. It's maintaining it that's really, really difficult, because you have turnover in your employees, and so your tribe changes. And so how the things that we put in, the foundation we put in, how does that continue to create that great culture? And so that's one of the ways we measure. I'd say the other way is we just look at, my favorite part is, I believe when we hire someone into a company, we take them in, we have a short period of time where we can love on them, we can grow them, and they'll likely move on to another assignment. And when they move on to another assignment, I'd like to believe we've done something to create this great expectation that they will take some of those values and they will share them in their next company. Mm-hmm. So I look at it as kind of like a sharing. And we've also taken people in that have had great experience at companies, and we learn from them. And so to me, it's just all about that better for people, better for business, and better for the world. We're all kind of in this together, and how we can really care about people and love on them and grow them really matters. Mm-hmm. And if they can look back and say, man, Next Level was an awesome place to work, to me, that's success.
Yeah, for sure. You want them to be comparing all their future jobs to you and thinking, wow, that was a really great example, and I want to continue to have that.
And I will also say, don't mean to cut you off, but I will say from a business standpoint, because I have a finance background, we have had record sales all 3 years that I've been here. So it does, Gary Ridge talks about this, that the profits are the applause of all the caring and love you put into your people. And I truly believe that if you take care of your people, you will see that growth and that profit. And it's not just our people. We also talk about our one team, basically meaning that our vendors, our partners, our channel partners, everyone that we're in a bubble with, they are our people too. Mm-hmm. And so the way our values are aligned with our internal teams is also the way we do business outside with high ethics. There's a lot of ethical degrading going on, and we really want to keep that really high with our partners and our business connections. So our business partners are just as important to us as our people are.
Yeah. Okay. So the bottom line is you've been able to measure success by having record sales or record years for the last 3 years. So you've beat out the previous CEO in terms of you and Derek being there working together, it sounds like.
Right. Well, yeah. So I call Derek the CEO. He's actually the president. The owner is still considered the CEO. Okay. I think that, he knew that he had taken the company as far as he could take it. So I have a lot of respect that he was willing to let someone come in and grow his company, because that's not easy for founders and owners to do. No. That's really hard. I've been through that quite a bit myself, and not everyone can do that. And so I have a lot of respect for him and the CFO, that they saw that they could make something better, and they allowed Derek to also have the freedom to do that. So I have a lot of respect for them.
Yeah, and that's sometimes getting out of your own way as a leader is important, to recognize I'm not going to be able to go any farther, and to hire someone like Derek, who they must have known was thinking about culture and all of that, to really, like he said, let him run with what he felt he needed to do. So that's just another example of how your organization is doing things so well. I love that you're talking about having your group of employees that are working with you and creating initiatives. We do that as well when we go into our toxic work environments that we're helping resolve. We do a survey and then have a group of employees from different departments and things come together, and we work out what are we going to do now to move the survey needle. So that's awesome. And then you're also measuring through these different great place to work and good place to work and best place to to work surveys. Got it. Okay. So tell me one thing you said in a panel that struck me. I wrote it down as soon as you said it. You said, we don't look for culture fit. We look for culture contributions when you're recruiting and interviewing. So initially, that could just be semantics, but I know you mean it when you say that. So can you talk to me about that? How do you figure out if someone's going to contribute to the culture, not fit in the culture? Because if they fit in the culture, that means that they're just another one of the same that you already have, right? So talk to me more about that.
Yeah, I think we first look for value alignment. That's an important part of who we are. But I think I've said culture fit for a long time in my career. And I think these last 3 years, I've realized that is just the beginning. That's that's not the end all. And I really believe that we want to bring people in here that is culture, that is value aligned, but then how are they're going to contribute and make us even better, from their experiences and how they've experienced work and how they can be creative and innovative. And for me, it's looking at like all the pieces. And because I think if you just look at culture fit, like I want a bunch of people that look like us today, then you're going to look like us and you're going to be like us for a long time. I want to like kind of mix it up a little bit. I want to like challenge us to be better. I want to have people that will come in and they really want to push us to a greater place. And I think that sometimes people can be a little hesitant to hire people that may have had more experience, or they may be we have this environment where I think there's so much of a high trust and transparency that people don't worry about that. So it kind of gives them the freedom to hire people that have these really great talents that will push us further. And then we're growing, so I always want to find someone who's going to again push forward and grow with us, and really a partner that we always say we want to make each other successful. Front, back, left, and right. Our job is to make each other successful. And if I can bring someone alongside that has some more experience or something different that they can add to the team, it just creates this synergy and innovation that makes us better. And so for me, that's kind of what we're looking for. I think in the world we're in with diversity, we have to really be conscious of how we're selecting people, kind of look at our systems. I think we've done a really good job of that, but I'm still digging into our systems. How could we be better? How could I make that better? Just continually. And my friend Rocky Howard, who I love and adore, and if you want to hear a great DEI podcast, she's got some good ones. She said something to me that I thought was amazing, which she said, for a long time, we've had good intentions. Now it's time for impact. And that is stuck in my head. I actually have it, on a postie on my screen, just to remind me that, good intentions are great. And we can talk about how great DEI programs we have and all those things. But if you are not practicing it, if you can't look at your teams and say, do we really have that? You really have to challenge yourself and challenge your company to make sure that you're doing that, and then train your leaders to look out for that. So yeah, that's kind of what I thought.
The DEI conversation is interesting because, it's interesting for many reasons, but I found with my clients trying to talk with them about, hey, we've got to do more than what we're doing. And some of them weren't doing anything at all related to DEI, and which they're pretty behind the times if they're doing nothing even before Black Lives Matter. That was already something they should have been doing. But to hear some of the pushback, is the I don't want to ruffle people's feathers if we start really digging into DEI and stuff. And then you have others saying, well, my feathers are ruffled when you don't do nothing, So it's like everyone's on a different journey in that realm. And if the CEO or owner, whoever, isn't ready to dive down that journey, then it can be difficult. But you've got your great leaders who are, sounds like.
Yeah, and I think actually my Derek and I had a conversation about this actually last week. And I think what our job is as, culture leaders, and some people call it human resources, really our job is to partner with our CEO and our leaders and really challenge them and ask questions and make them really start thinking about what are they doing, because really it needs to start at the top. They need to lead that, not just the CEO, but even our leadership team. And so I think having those open discussions, I always say we can agree to disagree sometimes, and you just try to influence the best way you can. And I'm one that will ask questions, and let's just think about it. And Derek is really good. He has this phrase. He says, let me noodle on it. I always thought that was a good phrase. But so he'll say, we may not agree in the moment, but we'll come back to it. And that's what a great partnership is, again, is like I can have those uncomfortable conversations, or we can challenge each other. And I think it's important for your people leader to, a lot of times the CEO doesn't have someone to shine a light on their blind spots. Many people don't want to do that. And so I think as a people leader, one of the things that I've committed to is doing that for my leaders, because, if no one does it, then, that's a problem too. So just, I think that's kind of the torch we have to carry as leaders, people leaders.
For sure. It's definitely been a great time for HR to really shine over these last 18 months or so. Lots going on where HR really gets to really show what we're about in HR. And it's not just policies and all of that. It's being a people leader. I like that. So we have 5 minutes left. Patti, give us one more kind of cool tip for building a positive, thriving culture.
Okay. I just want to, maybe I'll close with where Chief Joy Officer came from. I know that it's funny. I don't know if your followers know who Rick Sheridan is, but he has a book called Chief Joy Officer, and I didn't even see it until afterwards, but he's really awesome too. But my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's about 5 years ago, and when I was there visiting her in the very beginning and going through that process, and if you've been through that process, there are times when she's there and I can talk to her and I know she's there, and there's times when she's not. And it's really difficult to watch someone forget you and while they're still there. Yeah. And so anyways, this nurse gave me this book called Creating Moments of Joy. And and I read that book, and it's funny how life like teaches you things as you go along. And one of the things I learned from that is that there are times where we can create moments of joy. When my mom remembers me, and I'm going to hold on to that little nugget, in my heart, right? And when I tuck that in my heart, it's like it's a memory that I get to keep. And I think about that with my team at Next Level, is that I love to create those little moments. I think that people don't remember these big projects and these big initiatives, but they do remember the connection that happens day in and day out with each other, and building that community and connection is so important. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I guess I just sometimes people don't think it's important to talk about caring and loving for your teams and that it's business, but I believe really strongly that this is the most important thing. We have people for 40 hours a week, more than their community, more than their family, more than their church. And so, gosh, we have this responsibility to care for our people. And it doesn't mean that they are not going to be accountable. You can have truth with care. But for me, it's like, really love your people. It's okay to say the 4-letter word love. And I look at it I teach my team, let's create moments of joy for our people. And our leaders do the same thing. It could be something as simple as their daughter graduated their valedictorian, and we did a little quick thing for them, putting flowers on their desk when, they're having a hard day, or just like I have these little cards called thank you, and I'll put them on the desk, like little things like that. Those little things make a big difference. And so it's fun how you get to learn through your life. It just kind of builds more of who you are. And so I'm very, very conscious of the moments really count. That's, I think, what builds connection and builds community.
Gosh, Patti, we are definitely right on the same page. I talk about that a lot as well. It's those little nuanced moments that really matter. Like you said, the big initiatives are good too, but people don't remember those. And all of those big initiatives ultimately should be about influencing those little nuanced conversations and interactions throughout the day. And so I'm right there with you. So let's say, do have a little exercise at the beginning of a staff meeting, for example, about one of your core values and just talk about it or find a way to weave that in. And that one action's not going to change your entire culture. But if you're doing things like that consistently and constantly, then that's how you change culture over time. So thanks again, Patti, for being here with me today. And thank you for sharing some of what's going on in your world. That's got to be hard. I can't imagine. But always enjoy chatting with you. And I'm sure we'll be invited to be on another culture panel at some point. So I'll see you there. And if people have questions for you or want to talk shop with you about culture, can they reach out to you?
I love it. Please come see me. I'm a total sharer of information. I'm an open book. I love to give all my secrets away. Why keep them? So someone did that for me a long time ago. And so anything I can give to you, I'm happy to do. And also San Diego SHRM, they're a great resource. I wanted to kind of give them a shout out too. And so just connect with me. I'm happy to have a virtual cup of coffee.
Sounds good. All right. We'll get your LinkedIn posted there in our comments. And thanks all for listening. We had a couple people saying hi along the way. So have a great rest of your day, Patti. And thanks again.
Okay. Thank you.